We're going to start now talking about Chinese Nebelhorn. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Jackie.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I bet you are.
It is very rare that I am doing 3 all-nighters this early in the season. Actually, it never happens. And then this ended up being a thing. I actually wanted to talk about the overall of Skate to Milano, Chinese Nebelhorn. And by the way, you are listening to the Rocker Skating Podcast and our weekly chat. And this will be a fun chat with the Skate to Milano / Chinese Nebelhorn competition that just happened. I want to get your impressions on how you felt, right, of this competition being extracted from Nebelhorn and being a standalone event. What did you think of that?
I mean, on the plus side, I did like that it was its own event and that we didn't have to do math and we just knew top 3, top 4, top 5. It's very easy. I remember I was at Nebelhorn before Beijing, and that was like, we were being very careful because it was like, oh, who has a spot, who doesn't? And that I liked. On the negative, I feel like the scoring was kind of fishy throughout this competition. And I also feel like it might have had something to do with where it was taking place. And I also think that it would be the vast majority of the skaters here traveled a long distance to get here. I think that I just feel like Germany is an easier location for almost everyone, and it's feels more neutral, to put it mildly.
A lot of on the surface and under the surface subtext there from you, Michelle. I was convinced I was not going to like it. Mostly because like Nebelhorn is such a tradition and has been such a tradition. But no, I actually really liked the extraction of this competition as its own event. A lot of what you just said about kind of, it's very clear who's getting us or who's trying to get a spot and who's not, right? Like everybody's trying to get a spot, as opposed to at Nebelhorn where you're like, oh, these people are just here to get competition experience, and they actually, the stakes are very different, right? Whereas here, the stakes are all the same for everybody, and it was it had this feeling of this air of importance that I feel like Nebelhorn during the Olympic season didn't quite have, because it was sort of connected to something else. So I liked that aspect of it.
And we were in the Olympic venue from Beijing.
We were in the Olympics. Yeah, exactly. So that was great. I think the other thing that was interesting was that I was looking at the list. I mean, I was up all night there was one night where I was like started at 10 p.m. and I ended at 9 a.m. Like it was a long day. And somehow it was still functioning. But, and that was like, 25 women, 26 men.
Yeah.
And then if you added the Nebelhorn entries into that, had it been a combined competition, it would have been like 35, 40 people.
We would have had Hassa and Volodine there. And
I mean, it was just too, it would have been too much. And also I think what would have been interesting, what would have been different with that would have been that the scoring, I think, would have been maybe a little more inflated. I don't know. I felt like a lot of the component marks were generally well placed. Generally. We will talk about some of the ones that we didn't feel like they were generally well placed. But it wasn't like there wasn't a sort of desire to overdo anything generally.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I'm excited for this hopefully to continue as its own event. Again, I would imagine the ISU wants to take this from one country to a different country. It's a big event to be putting together.
Yeah, I appreciated the size of it, that not only we were in a big venue, but they filled it up and there were so many people there. And like, I saw members of the Chinese team that train in that area that weren't competing. I saw Dai Wei Dai in the audience. Daria Usachova was there, retired Russian skater who's in China coaching. It was just sort of like this big event that drew people in. And, there was a large crowd for some of the events. And that was nice. Whereas Nebelhorn is smaller.
Yeah, totally. Smaller. And the first couple of events at Chinese Nebelhorn, I was kind of like, oh, no, there's nobody here.
Yeah. But it was 10 a.m. in the morning. So, yeah.
I mean, evening 10 p.m. over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can have it in Colorado Springs next time.
No, let's not have it in Colorado Springs, please.
Endurance test.
Oh, no. I do not want people injuring themselves on lifts like right at the beginning of the season.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Orange County. Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver would be great.
I do like that Vancouver venue. All right. So let's talk about the event. And maybe we start, should we go backwards or should we go forwards? What do you want?
I don't think we should start with dance. Let's start with something else.
Let's start with pairs.
Okay.
We're gonna go backwards to back in time.
Okay.
So the pairs was I believe our first.
No, dance was the first. Pairs was the first to finish.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I was thinking. Pairs being the first to finish. So going back to our predictions last week, Akapova, Rachmanin, Nagaoka, Moriguchi, you and I were very set on those two getting 2 of the 3 spots, which they did. Nagaoka, Moriguchi was not as good as they were earlier this season, but the quality of their skating just kept them up there, and they ended up getting 3rd. I think they had some tense moments waiting for whether or not they were going to get that 3rd spot. So they ended up, Akapova, Rachmanin ended up 2nd, Nagaoka, Moriguchi ended up 3rd, and then Zhang and Huang winning the whole thing, and very deservedly winning the whole thing. I thought they were really good.
I have to admit, when I didn't pick them to be on the team and my picks, I did not watch them this season. I was going off of the performances last season, and I was really Zhang has grown quite a bit, and they look more like a senior team. And I feel like their components, they just sort of brought everything up a level. And the choreography Aliona Savchenko did for them was lovely. I mean, especially like that transition into their death spiral in the short program, that was just delightful.
They were
their
very
free
good.
skate was nice too. Yeah.
I really liked them. And 190-152, so that's a pretty big score for this season. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that spot, right? We still don't know what the status is of Sui and Han.
Yeah.
I personally am like, look, they were the ones who got ready in time and put their own stuff on the line to get this spot for China. I think they deserve it. Had it been like, okay, Sui and Han and Zhang and Huang were both competing, and it ended up being that Zhang and Huang were a little bit more ready, that's a little different than just like, we literally have no idea what's going on with Sui and Han. So we will see if they are going to stay in the Grand Prix. But not a peep.
Either Wenjing or Song in the crowd. I don't know if maybe I wouldn't have noticed. I mean, I think I would have noticed them because I saw Dai Wei Dai when they showed, the Chinese skaters in the crowd. I didn't see either of them there. Interesting.
Yeah, we don't know what the status is. And then 4th place, Kovalev, which I thought they had something. You thought they were not ready.
Yeah. They had a good short program.
They did.
The free skate was closer to what I was expecting.
Yeah. They got the benefit of the doubt from the short program for sure, given that they skated well there. And it was 2 points over Holichenko Dariensky, who skated very well.
Yeah, their free skate was great. I was happy for them.
especially given how they skated at Lombardia last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a nice surprise. So, you know, we talked about this last week as well. Top 3 automatically get it. And then 4th place, this first alternate spot will likely get a spot. Well, not likely.
We'll see.
There's an opportunity for them to get that alternate spot because the Uzbekistan pair is rumored to have split. We don't know anything. There's no confirmation, so we'll see.
I mean, in the rumor that I heard about them splitting, that rumor also contains the rumor that she was having tryouts. So I don't know if you can find someone and get them Uzbek citizenized fast enough, but if there's a will, there's a way. That's always a possibility.
Exactly. So no guarantees yet for that, but Kovalev and Kovalev are next up. I talked about this in my live recap, but the you read the rules of the what they call no-show spots. So anybody who kind of gives up a spot that was originally allocated to them, those spots go to countries that aren't currently represented in that discipline. Therefore, right, like Shin and Naj ended up 6th, right? In a regular sort of way, in a regular instance, they would have been 3rd alternate for the U.S. for that 3rd spot. But because the U.S. already have spots in pairs and are represented, the U.S. does not get another chance there. And so it goes to the next pair, or the next country, which is Czechia, who doesn't have a spot. And Valesi and Bidar ended up 7th with that one.
I think Shin and Naj skated about the way I expected them to skate. It was a good second international outing for them. I'm still a little confused as to why U.S. figure skating elected to send them over Chan and Howe or McBeath and Parkman. But, I don't have all the information on why that decision was made. And now another team gets to go to the Olympics. So
it ends up being 3 men, 3 women, 3 dance, 2 pairs for the U.S. The other one I wanted to just really spend a little bit of time on is Gunnarsdottir and Piazza. I really like this team, and I think they have a lot of potential. Just strong basics, huge twist, like a lot of the beginnings of what could be a very, very good pair, and excited to see them grow. All right, so that's the pairs. Next up, women.
I have a few thoughts on Adelia Petrosian, who won the women's event. She won both the short and the free skate. And she had her coach, Terry Tutberidze, at the boards at practice, allegedly credentialed, by another team. She had a federation official with her when she competed. I feel like Adelia has a lot of the kind of things that we criticize the kind of people out of that camp for. She has kind of messy jump technique, some 2-footed landings. She has some strange choreography with lots of leg lifts and choppiness. But I have to admit, like, that free skate pulled me right in, and I was all in. I was so entertained by it. And I also it made me remember, it's been a couple of years, but how skaters out of that camp would get the components they would get because they skated with like every fiber of their being. I mean, down to her fingertips, she had so much tension, and she was just performing it just full out. And there wasn't like a doubt in your mind that she was going to hit the jumps, that she was going through it. It was captivating. It was, there's a Russian word, dusha. It's like soul, and they say like Russian soul. And I felt that in her skating. That's just like little force coming out of her, like attacking this. And I wanted to resist, but I was unable to. And I was very, very taken in by it. Short program, I was not so crazy about. The Michael Jackson was, hopefully she'll have a different short by the Olympics. But that free skate was it was great, especially like the last 2 minutes of it, the Yo Soy Maria part.
I agree. I totally agree. I think that the Michael Jackson short program was a little junior in just the general. It was we've seen it before.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like,
It's
skaters
been
too. It's been done. And also there were so many music cuts in that Michael Jackson program that it was kind of distracting. Agreed about the free skate. She is a performer.
Mm-hmm.
She does perform to the music
Mm-hmm.
very well. The thing that I was noticing, and this does happen with the skaters from the Tuparitsa camp, which is their stroking is not effortless.
Yeah.
And hers in particular, I think there was a lot of pumping of the upper
Mm-hmm.
body, right? Like when you're doing that, like there's skaters who get power through literally the lilt in their knees and their
Yeah.
ankles. And there are those who pump their upper body
Yeah.
up and down in order to try to force that power.
Mm-hmm.
And those are very different techniques of trying to get speed. And the ones who are really down on their ankles, especially, right? The ankle strength
Mm-hmm.
that Jean-Luc Baker and I always
Yeah.
talk about when we do practice. That's the thing that I thought was most jarring, especially when you compare
Mm-hmm.
her to someone like a Luna Hendricks, who
Mm-hmm.
gets such effortless speed
Mm-hmm.
from her lower body, and you don't
Yeah.
see that kind of pumping. And that's a huge part of skating skills, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a depth of edge, and it's a depth of kind of effort or
Mm-hmm.
lack thereof, lack of visual effort that you see
Mm-hmm.
in the skating. So I was talking about how the component scores for Petrosian relative to everybody else
Mm-hmm.
felt okay. Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
after all these years of Tuparitse students, like
Mm-hmm.
just like coming out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they're getting 8s and
9.5.
9s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing the scores in the 7s and 8s
Yeah. And the
felt like it was
difference.
okay. Yeah.
They were
And the
higher in the
difference.
free
Yeah.
skate and lower in the short, which I felt like was correct. Like they're actually watching the skating and judging what they're
Yeah.
seeing.
Um, I still think, especially with the Luna Hendricks and even Gubanova, that it could have
Mm-hmm.
been the PCS difference could have been larger.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to someone like a Josephine Taillegard, who
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm.
I can't talk about Josephine Taillegard because that was just such a
Oh yeah.
it was so sad. That it wasn't just that she didn't make it; it was just she
Mm-hmm.
couldn't give it her best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took a 179 to get the
Mm-hmm.
5th place spot here.
Mm-hmm.
And could Josephine Taillegard get a 180? I think at her prime, with rotated jumps, she would have, but she wasn't near that
Mm-hmm.
this week, and it was very sad. Anyway, back to Steve PCS, because I needed
Yeah.
to take that detour. But I think that was interesting to see that. And it was nice to see that it wasn't like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, Tuparitse student back,
Mm-hmm.
or, a Russian skater skating as an individual neutral athlete is here, and all of a sudden, like, the scoring goes haywire. What's also interesting here, too, is that Petrosian is only competing internationally here
Mm-hmm.
and at the Olympics. So there will be no opportunity for a gradual rise in scores that we've seen in the past. So I don't know. We'll see what happens at the Olympics. But she earned her place,
Mm-hmm.
and she will be there. What about the comeback kids, Gubanova and Hendricks?
Yeah, good free skates from both of them. I
Right.
thought Hendricks showed some of her nerves in the short program, but it was understandable. It was so great to see her skate again.
I know.
Gosh, she's
I
such a good
missed it.
performer. And yeah, the presence and just the personality and just the way she strokes around the rink. Yeah, I was so happy to see her. I really liked her free skate too. It was um, I'm not always the biggest fan of Adam Solya's choreography, and I think the short program is an example of that. But I liked the free skate. Yeah.
There was a lot of vocalization in that free
Mm-hmm.
skate.
And
I
the
don't know how
sliding around and
I don't know how
posing and
I don't know how many times I can listen to that
mm-hmm.
song without going
Oh
insane,
gosh.
but
I would give anything to see Luna do like a Lori Nickel program. Just one. Just a short program.
or a Sandra Bezic program.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or Shay.
Any of them.
Yeah.
Gubanova, I have to
Mm-hmm.
say, her Ghost free skate is
Mm-hmm.
maybe my favorite program of hers.
Mm.
Like I really think there have been times when I felt like she sort of goes through the motions, especially in the past few years of her programs, and isn't like invested in the music. And I really felt it from her with this Ghost program.
That's true.
And it's different. It felt like she really just like likes this program a lot and likes to perform it, and that was sort of special to see.
Yeah. It definitely had motion too. It was like 3 different pieces from the I think the musical, and it felt like there was like a storytelling arc to the program, and that she was invested in it. Yeah. I wasn't crazy about the little dialogue in the middle, but what are you gonna do?
The dialogue.
Yeah.
You saw the back of her costume.
Yes, it was beautiful. The silhouettes of the faces. Yeah, that was cool.
I first saw that and I was like, oh no, that looks kind of kitschy, but like that, I kind of like it worked.
Yeah. It wasn't too much. I've seen people do things like that are too much, and she did it, and it's in a nice way.
Yeah. So that was your top 3. Petrosian getting a spot, Georgia getting a spot, Belgium getting a spot, and Georgia getting the spot means that they are a full team for the Olympics. They'll have full representation in the team event, which we'll talk about later. So 4th and 5th, Victoria Safonova. Again, that was not a surprise, but it was closer than I think we thought it would be.
Yeah.
Given that Ruyang Zhang and Stefania Yakovleva both skated very well, especially in the short program. Stefania and Ruyang both had mistakes in the free skate, and it ended up being a matter of 2 points between the two of them. If this were a different competition at a different country, would Stefania have ended up higher than Ruyang? Maybe. I don't think it was like a robbery per se.
Yeah.
I think the two of them were comparable enough that either of them would have deserved to get that 5th spot.
Stefania, she was 2 points behind in components, in the free skate, which I feel like was definitely fair. Her skating is a little more workmanlike, whereas I feel like Zhang is much more of a performer, and she really sold her Miss Saigon free skate outside the mistakes. She really did. And so like for that to make the difference, I feel okay with that. It is for Stefania Yakovleva just brutal to be 5th in both segments and 6th overall and just be right there. It's just, that's so
close.
Tough. Yeah.
I mean, it's her first year in seniors too, right? She really, I think she's got a lot of potential to just continue going, and her jumps are solid. She will grow and learn from this experience, and she'll go to Worlds and do her thing, and hopefully that's going to be great. So Cyprus, just on the cusp of making some history and getting a spot at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And then Mia Risa Gomez, Norway, with a 7th place with a great short. Couldn't hold it together for the free.
Yeah, it was a little heartbreaking. It was interesting watching Safonova in her free skate. It was like she was so focused. She was so determined, but it was like she was doing everything but moving her face. She was so stoic. And at the very end, she finishes done and then gives this little half smile like, I did it. If that's what she needs to do to get the jumps out, I mean, it worked. But
I mean, the point was to get through it, and she got through it. And I mean, we've seen Victoria Safonova before, and she's not known to be an expressive skater. She's not known to be a musical skater. She's known to be a consistent jumper, which she showed here, and that made the difference. That was the women's event. Petrosian and Safonova getting spots for themselves, Gubanova getting a spot for Georgia, Hendricks for Belgium, and Zhang for China. And at this point, because China had gotten 2 new spots, right? They have the men's spot already that coming in. They got a pair spot, and then now they've got a women's spot. They actually got into the mix for the team event, because now they have qualified 3 of the 4 disciplines. So that finally rounds us out to 10 countries that are eligible for the team event. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I actually thought there was some great skating in this set of skaters here for the women's event. I thought Petra Latti was really good. Andrea Montesinos Cantu, she's made a comeback this season after a couple of seasons where she kind of lost. Kristina Lisovskaya was really good, very different kind of skater, very different vibe. It was a fun competition. I thought it was just generally strong.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about dance now. We have a lot of thoughts.
This dance event was rough.
It was rough in a lot of ways. We'll start with the easy stuff. Reed Ambrulevicius.
They were awesome.
Blowing it out of the water. Awesome. Yeah. 198.
I said a couple weeks ago after their competitive debut that I thought they had brought back an old program, but it's not. It's a new program, which is very similar to their past techno program. Yeah. And it's like God is a DJ and has all this cool choreography that they work with Sam Chouinard, and it was really prepared, and they delivered it really well, and they had a great skate, and they won both segments, and they secured their spot in Milan to finally make their Olympic debut after trials and tribulations of citizenship, and then missing the free dance last year at Worlds, and finally secured. And it was so sweet. Kathy Reed was here doing a lot of support for the Japanese team, and then greeting Allison after she qualified, and it was very touching.
I mean,
have her sister's support.
Allison Reed has been to the Olympics before, but she was 15 when she went to the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's been over a decade since she did that, and Saul, this will be his first Olympics, and so just very special for both of them, especially, as you said, with all of the citizenship, travails that Allison Reed have been through, finally getting it late last year and ready to go. It's they're heading to the Olympics, and it's going to be great to see them. And agreed. I think last season their programs weren't as them as they've been, right? And they were 6th at Worlds 2 years ago, and you thought that they could build from that, and they didn't. And I think this is kind of a return to form for them. Holly Harris, Jason Chan getting Australia a dance spot. Both of those teams were easily above the rest. And let's talk about the rest. Okay, let's talk about Harris and Chan. Let's go there.
One thing really quickly about them. That was the best I've ever seen them skate, that free dance. I've never seen them perform that well, to be that on, to have that kind of emotional release when they were performing. That was just, they really threw down, and it was good for them.
I don't know why I'm so eager to talk about these next 5, because I'm still having conniptions about it.
In our preview, we talked about Wang and Liu, and I think you picked them as someone who's going to be on the outside on the bubble trying to get a spot. And I said I didn't really think that they were going to be in the mix based on their early performance this year. And I definitely think they skated the way that we thought they would, maybe a little bit better, but they were scored much more generously than almost anyone else in this field. Really, really generous scoring. And, considering their speed, the places that their programs were, their conditioning. And then, I think it was a moment where we really saw the panel sort of manipulating things to put them in a certain position where they would get an Olympic spot. And I felt that was pretty clear that that's what was happening. They were put in 4th place by holding other teams down. In particular, Reitan and Meyerhoff, the Swedish team. But I think a couple other teams really suffered the consequences of very strict calling to enable this result to occur. And this was so blatant that Jackie was upset about it last night. Jackie, who skips dance practice to go have lunch. He was very, very upset. You were texting me, and you were just you couldn't believe the way that this was happening. And I want to say welcome to ice dance, but also it sucks to see every time it happens.
I will also say, though, that the big thing that was the most apparent in the protocols was the sort of choreographic character step that didn't get full credit because it didn't meet all the requirements.
Yeah.
And that actually happened to Wang and Liu and Reitan Meyerhoff and Yoshida Morita. So there was a lot of stuff that was going on there. I thought mostly that were the elements the way that they were, maybe if you call it that, you call it that. But for me, Reitan Mayurov and Yoshida Morita had stronger programs, stronger skating, better composition, such that their component scores should have been high enough over Wang and Lu's component scores that those, whatever those things were, wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah. Reitan and Mayurov should have been third in this competition.
I agree. Totally.
Like a clear, easy third.
The way that they skate, and I was very surprised to kind of have the reaction that I did, because I thought last year when they came on the scene, I thought they were good. Like they were good for an early team. I actually didn't necessarily see, like, oh my gosh, they're gonna like blossom into this like amazing dance team. And these two programs, especially the free dance, they're so special. And they have, the two of them have, you can see how much they have worked on both their relationship with each other on the ice and also how they skated. And like, you look at Nikolai Mayurov, who was a single skater in 2022 in Beijing. You look at him now and it's like, oh, wait, no, you're an ice dancer. It was very similar to when Julia Turkila and Matthias Versuis ended up in dance, and you were like, oh yeah, these are just single skaters. Like, what are they going to do? And then they became better ice dancers than they ever were single skaters. And I think same thing with Nikolai Mayurov. It's just like Michelle's dog is also,
my dachshund agrees with you.
Also very excited about it. But I just thought, their components were too low. And the creativity of that free dance, the storytelling, the composition of that whole thing, it was not rewarded the way that it should have been rewarded.
Ice dance can be kind of obscure sometimes when you're watching it, and it allows for these scoring inconsistencies to happen, but sometimes people skate so well that it's just apparent that they deserve a certain set of scores. And it's like, in this case, that team went out and they just really delivered that very creative material extremely cleanly, and with a lot of just emotion and passion. The fact that we could hear the commentators, Mark Hanratty and Ted Barton, talking about it, and watching them watch the scores come in, you could feel something fishy was happening. And it's frustrating. I want to say on the plus side that team, the Swedish team, is in fifth, so they are the first alternate. And like we discussed before, we don't know if Finland is going to be able to actually use its second spot. So if they give it back, they will get it. But still, it's frustrating.
Still, like you want to feel like you earned that one outright, as opposed to having to wait. Now, I was having that same cascade of emotions because I was watching all of the elements and the calls and everything. What was very interesting about that, and I'm not going to use a word like manipulation or fishy, but what was interesting about it is that there were, a lot of elements that were being reviewed. And
the levels brought down.
I will give judges the benefit, or the panel the benefit of the doubt of like, hey, we want to get this right? Fine. The choreographic step that was called invalid, or not invalid, that was called not meeting requirements, right? Yeah. With the exclamation point. That was an interesting one, because I looked at Yoshida Morita's choreographic step, and one of the requirements is that you have to go from one side to the other on the short end. And they actually finished theirs, and it depends on where you think as a panel they finished their moves. And it is very justifiable that you think that they finished their moves before their right inside forward 3 turn into their crossovers to go to the next element. And so if that was the read, and they got a similar exclamation point call at Kinoshita Cup earlier this season, then fine. Maybe that's valid. The thing that I kept going over and over and over again with Reitan Mayerov's was they fulfilled the barrier to barrier requirement. They fulfilled the requirement of a no retrogression, which is what they call basically not going backwards, right? Like you have to keep going, you have to keep moving from one barrier to the other. They do a lot of slaloming with their character step, because it's actually a very good character step.
It is. It's great.
It's a beautifully musically done one, and it's not the cookie cutter type where you do a lot of posing, and it's very well done. Anyway, they don't do that. But then the other thing that could have been the issue was that you have to be 2 arm lengths apart or closer the entire way through. And there's one instance after I watched this thing like 20 times.
Yeah, over and over.
Where they were just far enough where if you go blade to blade, they were 2 arm lengths apart. If you went center of mass body to center of mass body, they were maybe just beyond that.
Yeah, but then arms were reaching for each other and weren't touching. So I think that was the indication. Yeah.
And that's the only thing that I could have thought would have made that not meeting the requirements. But that is a very strict call. It is what it is. But like you said, it wasn't just that. It was that there were levels being called down as these things were being reviewed. They were, I remember watching the scores, and they were actually at 174 right at the start of the reviews.
To lose 6 or 5.5 points in dance on reviews is crazy. I mean, I remember working 2017 and 2018 nationals, both of them. Chalk and Bates finished their free dance based on the levels they had. They were winning that event. And then all their elements were reviewed down, and both of those times they dropped to third. And it's just interesting. It's frustrating to see it, because it's like, I feel like you want the callers to get things correct, but I also feel like you review anything enough, you're going to find something you don't like about it.
That's the thing that happens, right? And we see this in single skating a lot, which is if you are a skater who has a history of under rotating jumps, you are getting a lot more scrutiny than everybody else. And like you said, if you review something and you slow-mo it and you do all the things, there's a likelihood that something is going to get called. And it's the same thing with single skating. And so anyway, not to belabor the point because I've belabored it too much. Reitan Mayerov, good on you for just making such amazing, phenomenal progress. And I look forward to seeing more of that. So Val Kazimov end up with that second Spanish spot. Wang and Liu end up with the last dance spot that was given out. Reitan Mayerov gives Sweden the first alternate. Hungary gets the second alternate. Japan gets the third alternate. And there's some interesting things there, right? Because Japan, because they're in the team event, in all likelihood, they will qualify for the team event.
And in all likelihood, we'll get a medal.
In all likelihood, we'll get a medal. Yoshida and Morita will skate in at least the team event unless something weird happens with Japanese ice dance. So, they shouldn't be too disappointed, given that they will be going, in all likelihood, they will be going to the Olympics again, unless something bizarre happens during the season with Japanese ice dance.
And the Italians, Paulina and Tuba, were 8th, and Italy is not going to get its second ice dance spot. So it'll just be one team in Milan, presumably Guinard and Fabri, but we still haven't seen them heard what their programs are. I saw Barbara Fuzarpoli in the Kiss and Cry with the Hungarians, and I was like, Barbara, I want to talk to you. I wish I were there. I want to flag her over. I'm like, what's going on?
What is happening? Yeah. All right, let's go to the men, because that was the anchor of our competition today.
Yeah.
And
I have another quibble about technical calls in this event. So.
After many, many, many hours, this was the final event of Chinese Nebelhorn. And not a surprise, Peter Gumenek ended up winning He was expected to come in and win the whole thing, and he did by 34 points over the rest of the field. Hung Young Kim, kind of a surprise second, but actually maybe not a surprise second because that next set of skaters were going to be so close. Donovan Carrillo with a bang-up short program, the best skate of his life. And luckily he had that because he would not have survived the free skate had he not had that brilliant short program. Gets third and a spot for Mexico. Kirilo Marsak, similar to how he did at Lombardia a week ago, came and did his thing. And we'll talk about what happened in the locker room also. Gets Ukraine a spot. And then Chinese Taipei. Taiwan gets a spot.
Taiwan.
Yushang Li. Ooh. I mean, that was one of the most joyous free skates that I've seen.
Immediately my mind went to Tara Lipinski. The way he was so happy after every jump, and he just would land and just joy on his face, like mouth open, smiling, look at the judges like, I hit that.
Yeah, you just look at the judges being like, hey mom.
Yeah, and it's like infectious because I'm watching him and I'm smiling. He's just so happy, and it was a great free skate for him. It was quite sad to see David Luntenbrain, who skated 2 really good programs, 5th in both segments and 6th overall. Much like we saw happen in the women's event, 6th, he is right on the bubble. He is the first alternate for Monaco.
When I said last week that David Luntenbrain was my sentimental favorite, I didn't believe it myself, to be honest with you. I love this guy skating so much.
And to be 6th, the Olympic qualifier with no triple axel is amazing. No triple axel, no quad, he's 6th.
This was what we were talking about last week, right? We were saying that the triple axel would be necessary for him. And it sort of ended up. It ended up being that way, right? Like that if he had done a triple axel, which my guess is the triple axel wasn't consistent in practice and he decided to take it out to be clean. You're right. It ended up being a spin. The very last thing that he did in that free skate was the thing that took him out. And it was it was an errant jump to the back sit spin. He just lost. Who knows if it was a loss of concentration or I don't know what, but that cost him 2 points.
Crazy.
And that was the difference between 6th and 4th. Like not even 6th and 5th. Like he could have been in 4th place.
I want to make a quibble about his components too.
Yes,
because when you look at the components that the other skaters got, I mean, he got, where is he? He got a 73 in components. Piotr Gumenek, I don't know how we're going to say his first name. I guess I'll go with Peter. Peter Gumenek, he got an 80. And I mean, where does that's 6.5 points? Like that's not, no. I mean, how does he beat David Luntenbrain in components? I don't know how that happens.
I mean,
I'm
that's
very
the thing.
confused.
That's
he
the
does
thing
quads.
Well, that's the thing about David, right? Like he has never been known to be a consistent skater, period. And so the scores that he generally gets are not like huge scores, and the components end up going down. And like, you know, there's a heuristic of like, what did you get last time? And you know, it's unfortunate because you watch David's skating versus everybody else here, and the basics are so strong, the musicality and the composition are so strong, and
presentation is beautiful.
If you had his components the way that they should have been, that last spin shouldn't even have been an issue.
Yeah. We need justice for Monaco.
So many feelings. So that was your top 5 and your alternate, Francois Pitot.
He had a rough day.
With such a nice short program and a cushion going into the free skate, and he couldn't get it together.
Every jump he was like losing it. Yeah,
he ended up doing an emergency triple axel at the end and salvaged some points, but it was just too little too late at that point. Just too many mistakes, too many pops. Like, it was unfortunate.
Yeah.
So France does not get that 3rd spot for the men.
And he doesn't get the second alternate spot either. He goes to Georgy Rishchenko from Czechia.
Well, speaking of Georgy Rishchenko, he was given a deduction for a fall that he should not have got. Like what the heck was that? Like he literally, it was on the axle, and I remember looking at the scoring, and I was like, oh, they're reviewing the axle, they're gonna take off that fall, and I went back over and over and over again to that in like different angles, like the original replay and then the slow-mo replay. Not one part of this signaled that his weight was anything but on his blades. Like there are much more blatant step outs and hand downs where the weight of the body is more on the hands and they don't get called as falls. And I like, it wouldn't have made a difference that one point in the scoring, but like, what in the world? Like, how do you get a -1 for a step out? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand what happened there.
Well,
I had a lot of feelings during
Speaking of, I feel like the panel went in the other direction for Gumenik, who attempted 5 quads. Only 2 of them were called completely clean. I have a big problem with his second element, the quad Lutz, which he landed completely forward and basically he didn't fall, but he really flopped out of it. And he had a really big assisted takeoff where he had a whole blade assist, lots of pre-rotation, and he gets an under-rotation call for that. And I think just on the landing, it should have been a downgrade. And I know we're not doing frontal downgrades yet in the ISU, but like that was not, that was maybe 2.5 rotations in the air. Like, come on. I had a big issue with that. And then also Gumenik, like, he very admirably attempted a lot of really difficult elements, but his components were so high, you would have thought he skated this beautiful program, and there wasn't a lot there. It was very much setting up quads and doing quads. He did attempt 4 different quads, which is very impressive. Flip, loop, Lutz, and sow. But the component inflation was upsetting me as well. I was just not there for that.
So not that I'm going to defend that call, but the whole thing on the difference between a Q and an under and a downgrade is that a Q is a quarter turn or shorter, right? Or a quarter turn or less short, right? So 0 degrees to a quarter, and then the under rotation is a half to a quarter, and then a downgrade is more than half. And if you just looked at the direction of travel and just looked at where the blade hit, you can make a case that it was right at the half.
Okay. That's generous, though. They're very generous with him.
It totally is very generous. Like in most cases, a half you would see a downgrade.
And I think, there are other instances in this event where they were not generous, like the one we just described. And I think it's just, I want to see equivalent strictness across the board.
If you're going to be strict, yep, exactly. If you're going to be lenient, be lenient with everyone. If you're going to be strict with everyone. Yep.
Yeah, I was all kind of drawn in again in the women's event, watching the neutral skater from Russia. But in the men's event, it wasn't quite the same effect. I thought, there was a lot of work behind his skating.
Yep. Can we talk Kirilo Barsek real quick?
Yes.
And what happened?
Yes. He was the victim of a robbery. So he announced, I think he posted it on Twitter.
It was on Instagram.
On Instagram, yeah. So in skating events, people often throw stuffies on the ice, and the sweepers, the flower girls, they collect the stuffies and they put them in bags, and there's a name on each bag with the skater's name so they can go and get them backstage. And he went to get his, and not only were his gone, but they had ripped his name off and left the paper on the ground. So someone stole his stuffies from the short program that were thrown by the fans, which is like just so mean. And clearly someone with backstage access did it. Who did that? Who would do that?
And also he did the sort of classy skater that he is. He saw the comments, he saw the support for him, and he went back on Twitter X and qualified it by saying, look, I don't think it's any of the neutral skaters or the neutral athletes. Like there was not a, he wasn't pointing fingers at anyone, and he wanted to make sure that people understood that. But agreed, like, just like, what the heck? What was that? Like, you don't hear about something like this.
The Ukrainian skater this happens to, who's like training away from home because, what's going on in his country. But despite the theft of his short program stuffies, he skated a pretty good free skate and got himself a trip to Milan.
He did.
Good for Ukraine.
All right, let's talk about the team event, because all of this had implications on the team event. And like I said earlier, right, we came into this competition with 9 countries that were able to get into the team event, or eligible to get into the team event. And by that, I mean, you have to have qualified at least 3 of the individual disciplines as a country in order for you to be eligible to be in the team event. So, if you had 2 really good single skaters only, like that doesn't get you in. And so coming in, it was 9 countries. Leaving, we have 10 countries, China being one of those. And also Georgia ends up getting a 4th spot. And so they are a full team. China gets a second, third, and 4th spot. And so they become a full team. And so Canada, China, Georgia, Italy, and the U.S. are the 5 countries that have the 4 disciplines qualified. And so no problem with that. Whoever it is that will go and the individual event, they will pick from that pool who will make it to the team event. And then France, Great Britain, Japan, Poland, and South Korea have qualified 3 of the 4. And so the question that a lot of people have been asking is, so what happens to that 4th discipline that they didn't qualify in? What happens is there are 5 athletes, 5 skaters that are allocated for something like this. So they originally allocated for, if the host country didn't qualify into a discipline, they could, say Italy didn't qualify a women's spot, right? They could have used one of those 5 athletes to bring on one person for that discipline. They qualified all 4, so that's a moot point. And so those 5 athlete spots now go to the team event, where the remainder of the teams that don't have an individual spot for a discipline, they can use those spots to then fill up their team. Now, the interesting thing is, this is athletes. I have read this over and over again, and it very clearly says skaters rather than skater/couple, which they're very good about making sure that when you're talking about a discipline versus when you're talking about an individual person, they do it like that. And so that means there are 5 athletes that are available. Now, with these 5 countries, it's not 5 single skaters, right? And so Great Britain has a men's skater that they need to fill. France has a pairs team, so 2 skaters that they need to fill, so that's 3. And then Japan has a dance team that they need to fill, so that's 2 more, so that's 5. Poland has a dance team, 6, 7. And then South Korea has a pair team, 8, 9. So 9 athletes need to then come into play. They only have 5 athlete spots. And the way that this will be allocated out is, at the end of the Grand Prix series of this season, all the standings and the points and all that stuff will be tabulated across these 10 teams. And whoever is highest in that tabulation of calculation will be the ones who get those spots earliest. And so you would expect that to be Japan, given how strong they are everywhere else. And then that's 2. You would expect it likely to be France as your second one. So that's 2 more. Now, if Kovalev and Kovalov end up getting the alternate spot, then that also becomes a moot point, and that ends up being 0, right? So TBD. And then the next one down, we have Great Britain, we have South Korea, and we have Poland. And you're probably going to be South Korea.
Yeah.
But South Korea doesn't. But South Korea doesn't have a pair, and they will not have a pair, very likely, for the Olympics. So that's a moot point. So then you go to Great Britain, who needs a men's spot.
Yeah.
So the gymnastics of this whole thing, the figure skating gymnastics of this whole thing.
I meant to say, Edward Appleby, he looks a lot like Mark Kondratyuk. And I turned it on and I was like, wait, no, it's not him. But anyway, he's probably safe.
A much taller
for getting
one.
A team event spot.
Yeah, exactly. So Japan, 2 dance spots, assuming that France does get the fourth the first alternate spot, they would not use either of those. Then South Korea doesn't use the pair spot. Then Great Britain will use the men's spot, so that's 3, and then Poland uses the dance spots, which is then coincidentally fills out our 5. So so I think that's probably what's going to end up happening. But we will see. There's still a lot of skating to be said, and also a lot of eyes on these alternate spots. And the ISU, I was looking at these at the whole dates, right? The ISU has until January 25th to reallocate
after the Europeans.
Yeah, to reallocate any unused quota spots.
You know, I feel like all of this like judicial economy with the limitation on the spots and the lowering of the number of entries in each discipline also has to do with the Olympics wanting to have like a lower number of people in total.
Yep.
And housed, credentialed, etc. And I think that's where it comes from, because I remember in Sochi when they had the team event for the first time, it's like anybody with enough points, come on down, bring whoever extra you need, and they come for the team event, they go home. But it's gotten tighter.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
that's our longest episode yet.
It was. And the Grand Prix hasn't even started yet.
Crazy.
So that was Chinese Nebelhorn. Michelle, I'm going to ask you something different this week.
Okay.
To close our segment here, if you had a magic wand, and the magic wand can be as magical as you want it to be, who would you send to the Olympics who has not gotten a spot?
I mean, I feel pretty worked up about the Swedish dance team right now, so I would send them. Also, speaking of Sweden, I mean, Josephine. If I had the magic wand, I would have helped her have a better free skate. I would love to see her there. But yeah, and Japan needs more women's spots. I mean,
I know.
Let's just like raise the quota for the women's event from, what are we at, 29 to 39.
39.
And then we'll just send like all, and I don't know if a lot of people would complain about it if Japan had a team of 13. Right? I mean, yeah, they probably would, but they could fill it out. I want them all. I want them all there.
I mean, I would agree with you about Josephine. David.
Yeah.
David. So sad. It's all fun and games until people don't get Olympic spots. It's kind of what happens.
Yeah, it's rough. And it's just, this event was like heart-wrenching because you could see when people started making mistakes in their free skate, like they had a last like sliver of hope, and you see the hope leaving them, and they're just like, oh, now I have to get through this program and I'm not going to get it. Yeah.
I did there were some of the earlier skaters like Jarvis Ho, for example, of Hong Kong, who skated so well, and for him, it wasn't about qualifying the Olympic spot. He knew that he wasn't going to, given that he doesn't have the technical content to. But the fact that he was able to really skate at the biggest competition of his life, with the most at stake, and be able to skate that way, just really nice to see something like that happen. And there were a couple of those instances of that happening here, which was just really, really good to see.
I thought the Armenian pair team really had a great moment when they finished their free skate. They were so excited to skate that well. And I watched, when the pandemic started, I watched some of the Russian domestic competitions. And I remember they'd always have trouble getting through a clean program. Even in the short, they always had mistakes. And they had 2 really solid programs here. And it was really nice for them.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ari Zakarian, who came to this competition to support the Armenian team. I mean, that was great. And, they got a pair qualified. So
Ari Zakarian is everywhere all at once. I don't know where he.
But he is Armenian, and that's his team, and that was, great. And it sounds like, the Mark Henry, talks to everybody, obviously, and he was talking a lot about how much work that Ari does with these Armenian skaters, and it's, it's nice for them to have this, person supporting them, and
There's one thing that we know about Ari is he is loyal. That is for sure. He's loyal to the people he works with. All right, so that is the biggest competition of this season so far. Skate to Milano, Chinese Nebelhorn, whatever we're calling it. It will no longer be called Skate to Milano because we're not skating to Milano after this. I guess it'll be Skate to the French Alps next time. I kind of wish that this would just be the test event, right? Like, why not?
What do you mean?
Instead of having, how last season they
have it in the Olympic venue.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Like they had Road to Milano last season. That was at the test event for Milan. Like, why don't they just have the test event as this event? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they're probably like IOC rules. You need to do it beforehand.
Sooner,
yeah, exactly. My brilliant ideas. Okay, so that is this week. Next week, or this coming week, we're back on the Junior Grand Prix series. We will be in Azerbaijan with Baku, which is the next Junior Grand Prix. And then we have competing Challenger Series events going on with Nepola and Nebelhorn going on at the same time.
We're going to have to take disciplines, just break them up, because I can't watch all this skating. This is the point of the season where I stop watching the JGP. Like, I'm always all caught up to here, and then I drop off.
I completely agree. Like, this is where I'm like, okay, I need to prioritize, and unfortunately miss some brilliant junior skating.
We're gonna see some real good dance this week. I'm ready. Give me all the senior dance.
I mean, what's interesting, right? Like, you look at the season best scores, and the one discipline that does not have the big names quite yet has been the dance. And so we're gonna see those coming up. It'll be a fun weekend of skating. I don't know if I will survive it, but it will be a fun weekend of skating.
Yeah. Well, good luck.
Well, good luck to you too. All right. Well, that does it for this really extra long episode of the Rocker Skating Podcast. Thank you to our sponsor, John Wilson Blades. As always, thank you, Michelle, for... Unfortunately, you didn't stay up with me to watch all of this stuff, but...
I really thought I was going to, and then it didn't happen. I stayed up for the dance.
You did, yeah. The text stopped after the dance. But thank you for, as always, nerding out with me on all of the skating. And thank you, as always, to Tara Nichols for making us sound good. And this is Jackie Wong. I am the chief skate nerd of rockerskating.com, and we will see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.